Hi, and welcome to my third vlog focusing on the coaching process. The general focus of this vlog was to plan a session, record said session, and then review and reflect on the positives and negatives of my coaching behaviour within certain events of the session recorded. As you can see, this is the general session overview. However, our focus of this vlog will be around the general and global mobility of the session, preparing the individuals for the main lifts. Furthermore, I feel as if this part of the session is best to portray my own coaching process. Before analysing or assessing my own coaching process, we must firstly look at the general consensus of the coaching process. A simple approach is that of Borry and Knowles in 2003, who state that it is just simply a series of stages the coach goes through to help athletes learn and improve skills. A more thorough perception of the coaching process by Cross and Lyle of 2006 says that the coaching process is the purposeful improvement of competition sports performance achieved through a program of preparation and competition within a time and context bound agreement. And lastly, a visual representation is a flowchart which shows the bones that make up the coaching process outlined by Fairs of 1987. This chart shows that coaches who believe that they need to modify and analyse their approach to run parallel alongside their athletes' performance goals and intended outcomes. This is outlined in 5 stages, starting at data collection, to diagnosis, to plan of action, implementation of that plan, and then reflection or evaluation of the outcome. With this in mind, referring back to the focus of the session plan and the aim of this vlog, within context of the analysis being mobility of the planned session, the events I have chosen to assess are the coaching and instruction of the movements given, as well as feedback from the athletes and energy and body language from myself. Related to the information processing theory by Welford in 1968, it does, however, remain equivocal whether it is the most effective manner into which to induce a learning effect. Due to the nature of the service of which the clients expect, a general underlying approach is that of the command style. To give this context, this event is a banded hip distraction. I have the 2 athletes or individuals perform.
So step back and you're going to drop back in. And we're going to get a bit of a banded distraction, get a lot of stretch through your hip flexor. You're going to squeeze your glutes through. It does become a balancing act between yourselves. Okay?
Okay, my legs are not very strong.
I believe using the command style can be a double-edged sword, with the negative effect being positive over-cueing or overloading of information. Hodges and Frank 2002 believe that the athlete can become reliant on the coach, hence with the over-cueing. The correct way, therefore, is to perhaps elicit an implicit learning on a conscious level, allowing athletes to realise where they have gone wrong and correct themselves. With this in mind, it may have been more apt of me to approach the coaching of the movements with a general self-check and divergent style. However, if the individual is struggling with the movement and is deviating from the technical model that I displayed, thus by taking a practice style approach, it is in fact needed to also take a command approach in order to correct that individual.
Your own through, yes, yeah. You're assessing your own success with it. So if you're not feeling it, then take a step back, itch back a bit more, build the tension on the band.
In that clip you just saw, I implemented a subtle self-check style of coaching. in which the two will assess the success or failure of the movement depending upon the magnitude of how they feel and where they are stretching. I also asked an open-ended question on where they feel it, and they directed it to be towards the hip flexor. And from there, to increase the difficulty or the progression of the movement, I offered a solution of which they take a step back, creating more tension upon where the banded distraction is working. In review of event 1, a command style was the primary style used. This is due to the fact that the two individuals follow a program, a 8-week program that I have envisioned and implemented. With that having been said, I believe I took that further and involved too much overload of information or over cueing, which perhaps led to the two individuals not learning from the process but more just following what I was doing. Furthermore, we observed that by using an open-ended question to get feedback, we also introduced a self-check whereby, with the nature of the movement, if there is no tension, there is no stretch. Thus, the athlete then produces enough tension and that it equals a success, a response that I achieved from the two.
First is a hip opener or hip strength. Pretty much what I do every session. Coach, keep it overhead. We go 90, push through, come up, and go down the way you came up.
The second event is the plated get-up, focused around hip strength and hip mobility. Again, due to following a program, I follow a command-style approach, dictating the movement as well as performing it. I believe that a positive of demonstrating whilst instructing is a good combination in avoiding over-cueing as I approach each phase of the movement separately.
We're doing five each side and everything. Keep the plate overhead. There you are, good. Control it. There, look at how Roll's got it. Yeah, also foot position. And leg position, so watch. Comes up, she hits like a 90 degrees almost.
Yeah.
So do it here, and you push through up the hips. Because that makes it more hip dominant, which is what we're focusing on.
As the individuals carry out the determined reps, I notice that one is deviating from the correct technical model. Using a question of suggestion involving referring to their counterpart, the athlete coaches themselves to perform the movement correctly by mimicking themselves to the other. I follow up this correction with energetic body language with the effect to reinforce conviction of the individual's corrections. This, paired with vocal reassurance of affirmation that they are moving correctly, I am therefore eliciting the desired effect of positive reinforcement. However, to counter the use of reciprocal coaching, I could have addressed the issue by using a demonstration in difference, comparing what the individual was doing and the correct movement, or what they should be doing. Thus, they may have had a greater understanding of what was required of them. In conclusion of event 2, again, I led with a command style for the majority, leading into a reciprocal approach with the use of questions eliciting feedback. However, negative to this is by having the aforementioned individual mimic their counterpart's movement, they may, yes, move correctly, however, they may not understand where they are going wrong and why. Furthermore, had I talked to the athlete, I could have sought feedback regarding comfort. This would have given me a greater understanding for the session ahead and thus make acute and chronic regressive interventions of the given movements as well as the movements that will be apparent later in the session. All in all, reflecting on my coaching process, I mainly lead with a command style, atypical of team sport, and as the two are paying for this service, part of that service is the use of set programming. Secondly, with the use of open and closed questions, I'm able to get
both a reciprocal and self-check approaches in response.